Hey guys, Music Man here, back with another Identity V video. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's maintenance time, which means that pretty much just leaves me with making videos. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first match I'm going to be showing you guys is one on Eversleeping. Now I remember this match. This match was really intense towards like the end of the match. But anyways, I'm coming around here looking for my first target here. And I end up coming across both the Embalmer and the Seer, which is a pretty ideal situation. I end up going for the Embalmer. I could have picked the Seer, but it didn't really matter too much. I guess the Embalmer is a little bit more convenient because he's got really minimal defense abilities. But anyways, now I come across the Gravekeeper here. So at this point, that's like 3 survivors I've already disrupted. That's a lot of decoding that's already been sacrificed. So what the Gravekeeper does here is he uses one of his shovels to try to body block. And I spend the rest of my hits trying to get around him. So they're just kind of going around this pallet here, and I'm trying to get them away from each other. However, it's becoming really difficult because the Gravekeeper is now like right on top of them. I'm trying to avoid the Gravekeeper, but he does end up getting a successful body block against me. Now, my job is just to continue chasing, and whatever one I down is going to be the one I down. It doesn't matter too much. I come across the Embalmer there, but he ends up getting an owl on him. So, I'm actually alright with that because then that just gives me a chance to down the Gravekeeper. Of course that means the Embalmer gets away, however there was a bird on him and that could have led to a much longer kite, and I might as well have just gone to the other survivor that's already used one of their abilities. So even though the Gravekeeper is the worst decoder on this team, I still ended up chasing him anyways because he was in the immediate vicinity and the Embalmer had the Seer Owl on him. So now I'm just trying to kind of camp the chair. They do end up successfully giving the Gravekeeper enough time to shovel and get away. So what I do here is I do my mirror switch. And here the trail kind of glitched out. That was kind of interesting. But now what I'm doing is I'm chasing the Gravekeeper here. He makes a mistake here. He tries to jump there, but I'm able to immediately follow. And a lot of you will probably already know this, but if you end up jumping off of a ledge and you hit someone in the fall animation, you'll actually have no hit recovery. So but the Gravekeeper, by doing that, ended up sacrificing his dig, so he ended up just re-emerging and allowing me to get a hit on him. So now the Seer's not carrying Tide. That's pretty interesting. He probably was going for a kiting persona here. But anyways, I end up getting a fast down on the Gravekeeper here. And now I'm taking the Gravekeeper to the chair. And the tram's kind of nearby. That's really annoying. But anyways, I end up... the Gravekeeper was dead on chair, so now I'm going to move to another survivor. Now, these next 3 survivors do a really good... with kind of keeping the Cypher Rush going even when one of them is occupied. They heal up when they need to. But yeah, so let's kind of go here and see what happens. Now the Priestess ends up quick finishing that Cypher. I probably would have recommended she get earlier head start, but this is interesting. I don't give up on that last mirror there. After I switched, I saw that another survivor was being revealed by the mirror, and I actually end up, after the mirror switch, downing the Seer as well. So you have to keep your eye out for opportunities like that too. That just kind of caught the corner of my eye. I'm like, wait, can I do this before the mirror ends? And of course, after the nerf that's coming in, the gameplay is going to change, and something like that is going to be way more unlikely to happen. However, that was a really easy down for me because the seer probably figured I wasn't paying attention to my mirror. So now there's only one cipher remaining, so disrupting the last cipher is very, very important right now. So now I've got a decision here. I can choose to chase the seer, or I can choose to disrupt the ciphers, but the embalmer was actually around here, so I didn't really have to worry about that too much. So I was seeing if I could get a hit through the window, but that was kind of poorly timed. But I've got my mirror here, down the seer, and they don't have enough time to pop a cipher here, so now I'm going to take the seer to the chair again. But you know, one cipher remaining, disruption is now the most important thing for me right now. So now I'm looking around. They're healing up somewhere, so but here's what I do here. I hear this cipher's being decoded. I end up going up here, and I end up downing the embalmer. Now the embalmer's got his coffin. I don't really care about him right now, so what I do is I use my mirror here. See, I spawn it right on top of the healing survivors, and if they didn't have their portal set up, that would have been a very, very easy hit for me. So now what I do is I go here, I down the seer, the embalmer's already downed, I end up taking the seer to the chair, and now at this point, it's looking really good for me. So now the seer's on the chair. I know both of them are up there right now. So what I do is I use my mirror here and teleport up, and I get a really easy hit on the priestess. So that worked out very greatly in my favor. So I know I need to be careful about that cipher, but I also want to keep the chase up at the same time, so I'll kind of half-heartedly chase the priestess here, but if I see a cipher being decoded, I was going to make sure that I get right there to prevent it from happening. So I end up seeing that one's being decoded here, so I walk back up, or I thought it was being decoded anyways. Oh no, at this point I was just kind of looking around. I kind of gave up on the priestess because she already had set up portals. I mirror over there. The priestess is over here in a pretty decent kiting position. At this point the embalmer's decoding, the priestess is kiting. So now I'm just chasing the priestess here. And that's kind of a choice I made. Now, at this point, I kind of know that with detention, I would be able to down the priestess, but I still, ideally, I don't want that cipher pop to happen. So I end up using my portal over here, and I find the embalmer here. And I switch over here. Now, he's got pretty much nothing to work with. He should have run to that pallet, but instead he kind of runs towards a corner over here. And again, he's got his coffin, so not going to chair him. The only time where I actually chair an embalmer with the coffin is A, I either know where the coffin is and it's really accessible to me, or B, it's just really early on in the game, so it doesn't matter super much. So actually what I do here is Broken Mirror Switch Terror Shock. So that worked out very well in my favor. So I used my mirror there, got to the second story of that building, and used that to go right to the window and get a terror shock on the priestess. And that's just kind of an example of how those broken mirror switches can be very, very helpful. So the embalmer doesn't make a super great move here. So I end up trying to patrol him over here. Since I know I've got all the time in the world I want, I can just quick patrol him for an easy down. So now what I do here is break the pallet, go over here. He pops the cipher, but it doesn't matter because I'm already over here. And even if he used the boost to get away, he'd be patrolled, so I catch him really fast anyways. But I don't have the dungeon spawns for Ever Sleeping memorized yet, so I just kind of chaired him anyways. So now we're going on to the next game, and this one is on Hospital. Now, Hospital's one of my lesser favorite maps, but anyways, I end up coming over here, finding the mercenary. So just to disrupt Cypher Rush a bit, I end up getting one hit on the mercenary, and then I just kind of move on. The mercenary is terrible survivor to chase because his elbow pads will waste all of your time. It's really the ultimate transition tool here. So I end up finding the seer here. That was kind of a mistake on the seer's part. I ended up getting a easy first down over here. So I switch here, and that was a really good pallet stun. I wasn't expecting that. But so now I'm chasing the seer over here. I already got one hit on the seer, so now I decide that I just want to patrol him for an easy down. And the mercenary just got healed, so that means that's even more Cypher Rush that's been disrupted here. And the important thing to note about Patroller is that if the seer uses an owl with the Patroller on and you end up hitting him, the Patroller doesn't knock off like it normally would for a normal hit. It stays put. So now I see the perfumer here. I'm assuming the perfumer was trying to do a rescue, so I bait the perfume, and that's a perfume that's wasted. So now the mercenary goes for the save here. He ends up getting a good body block in there. That was really close to hitting the seer, but the mercenary was able to body block again. And I wanted that mirror rotation to go to the seer, but it ended up catching the mercenary here. So now the seer's in hospital, which is a really good area for survivors, but I'm hot on the seer's tail over here. So I see that he ends up vaulting this window, and I'm chasing him farther still. He's gonna bird here, and that was a really good bird. It was kind of expected, but it was used when you really needed it. So notice I lost the survivor, but then I used my mirror rotation. And this was kind of unfortunate. It stuck me outside a hospital, which was not the ideal scenario. Although there are 4 ciphers remaining, so that's really good for me. So I end up losing the seer, but that's not too big a deal because I end up finding the mercenary and I can take him to a chair just to get him started on a chair. And I know that the seer can't save. At least I don't know if he has a bird or not, but at this point I'm looking for an area where there's some survivors on a cipher, but I'm not coming across it right now. There's 2 ciphers remaining, so they're cipher rushing me pretty hard. And accelerate decoding just activated, so that's going to be a pain. And the mercenary lasts extra long on a chair. I end up... The perfumer ended up coming back. I'm not sure why she did that, but... that was a mistake. That shouldn't... I didn't think that would hit the chair. But now at this point, oh yeah, I remember this match. I was in a really tough spot. The survivors kept getting away from me, so I ended up hitting the perfumer there. With the mirror there. So at this point, disruption is really important. So now the mercenary gets some good jukes in there, but I do end up getting a last hit on it. I need to be really careful about that last cipher, which actually ends up getting popped. So there are 4 survivors running right now after the cipher pop. This is not looking good for me. I'm like, can I get at least a draw? If I got a draw, I would be extremely happy right now. So I got the perfumer down. I'm chasing the seer, which is not exactly an ideal chase I want to take too far because it's really late game, and if I don't get really fast downs, then it's going to be really tough. So now at this point the seer is right there, and I actually end up downing the perfumer again after the mercenary healed, and I'm hot on the mercenary's tail over here. who's actually going to try to do his save when he's a one-shot, which I didn't think was very smart. But now at this point, I can take the mercenary to the chair, and the perfumer is down recently, so I know that she's not getting up very soon, so I might as well just mirror over there, or just walk over there. The perfumer takes a pretty long time to heal up too, but there's not a whole lot that the perfumer can do at this point. So now I can just take the perfumer, put the perfumer on a chair, and after 4 survivors running after the Cypher pop, I end up eliminating them all. So now the mercenary's there. Mercenary just got eliminated. The perfumer's up. And I know my detention's running out, so I decide to down the prisoner there, but so now I'm chasing the perfumer. I don't want the perfumer to get out. And look at this. This is actually really, really close here. So I teleport, and I put a lot of pressure on here, threatening to hit, and actually end up getting the hit right at the exit gate. So you can see I kind of used my teleport ability intuitively there, not necessarily at a cipher that was being decoded, but at an exit gate where they were going to be they're actually going to escape. So at this point, I mean, I don't care super much where the prisoner's at, but honestly in this match I was expecting a loss at that point, but I ended up using my skills outside of the box and actually ended up getting turning this into a win. So I thought that the prisoner was over at this gate, but it turns out he was actually running over that way, and I just used my teleport, so there's not a whole lot I can do at that point. And the prisoner actually ends up escaping, and now we're on to the last match, which is on Lakeside, which is probably my favorite map to play with Bloody Queen, just because there's so many good mirror areas for me to play. Oh yes, I remember this match. This match, the survivors were really raging at the end of the game after a certain play that happened. So I come to Lakeside, and I end up nobody's decoding there over here, and I actually find a survivor running there, and it is the perfumer. The perfumer isn't an ideal survivor to chase, but I was able to get that first hit nice and quick, so that made my job a lot easier to chase the perfumer, because after you get that first hit, the perfume is not super handy anymore, because the main use of it is to undo damage. So now yep, I was expecting that hit there, and I actually end up that was an unexpected bird. But now at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to kind of... now, I thought she wasn't going back, so I should have kept with the patroller to see if she went back. However, she ended up going back onto the ship, which is kind of a pain for me. So I end up coming down here, and I'm like, wait a minute. The prisoner is AFK. Now... I totally forgot about this, but the prisoner was just kind of standing there, so that's kind of annoying. But the prisoner starts moving afterwards, but I wasn't going to worry about him too much, because there's a prospector there that was probably planning on freeing the prisoner. But at the end, after that, the survivors were just kind of raging that this happened in ranked. But, you know, it happens. Sometimes connection lags out. But the rest of the match was pretty good. So nobody bothers to save the prisoner. And I kind of expected that. So I end up just kind of half-heartedly camping. I find the prospector here, and I was kind of expecting him not to save, so I just kind of rotate and then switch to my mirror. So now I can kind of chase the prospector over here some. And so, yeah. In a case like if you find an AFK in match, don't even bother camping them. It's not really worth it. But I am coming back to see if somebody does end up coming in. I believe, yeah, the seer was actually starting to make his way to boat. So I end up starting a chase against the seer. Now I know that he used his bird on the perfumer earlier on in the match, so I don't need to worry about that too much. So now I'm chasing the seer. The seer has a lot less kiting potential than a prospector, so that makes him a more ideal target. So the seer is just kind of being annoying there. And I actually could have kind of gone around and pinned him back there, but in the moment I just kind of wanted to chase him. So it's really tough to tight kite a Bloody Queen with a mirror. But I didn't even have to use my mirrors there. So I actually end up coming over here. That didn't hit me against something, so I get a hit on the prospector there using the balloon survivor to my advantage. So now I'm going to put the seer on the chair, and I know the prospector is somewhere in that direction. And he actually just kind of bows before me. I think having an AFK survivor just made him want to quit. And it happens. Afterwards, it just kind of ended up being more of like a troll match, but it made me laugh so hard during the time. I was like, you're not even bothering. And I see that the perfumer's over there. And watch this. The perfumer gives up too. I'm trying to use my patroller on the perfumer, get it over here. But the perfumer just kind of gives up. So, yeah, that's the game. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, a lot of this gameplay that I'm going to be sending out, some of it's going to probably change after the maintenance today, where the changes from for Bloody Queen are supposed to come into the global server, so we'll see how that turns out. But if you really enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching.